So thanks for coming. And we're here to, as a lab, to learn how to talk with the press. One thing to remember is that when you're talking to the press, you're talking to your mother's friends. The oil exploration. Are those topics, do they seem good for you? More about this. So this is the time in which you say you can begin to steer the conversation. Event-driven, or it's paper publication-driven. So event-driven. There's a seamount eruption, and suddenly, you know, we can imagine that there was such an earthquake that just occurred off the Atlantic, and transatlantic cables have been broken, and you could talk about that. Is that, you would rather talk about that?
Yes.
Okay. And then tell me what you brought that we can work into the
So
conversation.
yeah, this is a jar of sand and a little bit of mud, and this is supposed to represent a turbidity current or catastrophic, and they carry a lot of sand and mud in suspension.
Okay, interview you. You're going to do that a couple sentences at a time.
Yep.
But this is great, and
Okay.
people will love that.
Okay.
People assume they're not going to understand, and if it looks like this, they go, "I'm going to understand," right? So you don't need a really complicated demo. So explain to us, why would an earthquake trigger transatlantic cables some great distance away?
This is the sort of thing that actually has happened in the past. It's something that we've seen actually historically underwater in the deep ocean, and that landslide itself caused sand and mud to start to flow down the slope of the ocean floor. Turbulent water immediately loses energy and everything starts to fall out of suspension, and it falls in such a way that the coarsest material ends up at the bottom, the heaviest material in suspension. So the sand and mud is being carried by the water, but you can also see that as soon as I stop shaking the jar, I'll shake it away, where the largest pieces are on the bottom and the smallest pieces are on the top. Also, the water you get from land, of course, the more likely you're only going to have the finest particles, which is the mud.
That's great. Okay, so in this process, she's taught us something. She's given us a really simple explanation of it, and it's a wonderful combination of the thing in action and the thing recorded as a rock. So she's kind of really taught us what geology is all about.
Release of that compression along a subsidiary fault was actually what caused the event.
Can you make the Santa Cruz Mountains rise up with this experiment?
Yeah, I can indeed. So they're locked, and then if I pull harder, oh, looks like the clay may have dried.
Here, maybe on your. Oh yeah, that's going. Oh, fantastic.
There we go. And so it's hard to see, but in the scale of
Yeah, no, it's not hard to see it again.
yeah.
Or you can ask the reporter for clarification. Go ahead.
Okay, so when you say earthquakes to start and stop, do you mean that the earthquake occurs along the entire length of the bend, or is that earthquakes?
No, maybe an
occurs,
earthquake.
and so you could say that in this analog here, it started somewhere around here, and it actually propagated northward from there.
So it did not rupture through the bend.
It did not.
Huh, that's very interesting.
Today is associated with these earthquakes. Everybody feels the shaking, but there's actually movement of the earth that occurs as a result that doesn't cause any. Well, it causes damage, but
You really put it out there, you put a lot of energy into it. The model is fabulous. It just worked perfectly. It's right at our speed. I'm sure it's great for the camera. Every reporter would love it if you walked in with this,
Awesome.
A pile of clay. And because they would understand it, and they would find it fascinating. It was just super, super cool when the mountain just started to rise. It was a little bit of magic. And that's what science really means when it's working for people. Something exciting and understandable like that. So I'm really glad you went through the effort. Did you just build this for this?
yeah, I did.